What is up, party people, and welcome to another live episode of Off the Rack here on ComicPop Returns. If you want to help us out, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell for notifications so you know that these shows are coming out and you can join us when it's happening live. This show, as every show that is live, is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show by using Super Chats. Ask a question or comment, we'll read it here on the show. You'll be part of the show. It's like you're the third host of this show. I saw somebody complaining earlier about how they were like, they were talking about some other YouTube channel, and they're like, they're a YouTuber, but like they'll never ask you to like and subscribe. And I'm like, is that what we're looking for here? Is like, I want the experience of the thing that happens on this platform, but I want them to throw away all the conventions of that platform. I don't know. It's just weird, but regardless.
It's like saying, I really like any product that you like. I just wish they'd stop telling me when things
came out
or advertising to me.
It's just so frustrating that like 99% of the content is the thing that I'm there for, but then there's this 1% where they have to remind people to check us out. I'm sorry. It's easy to be cynical about it, but like when you're on the other side of it, you know, hey, listen, I got to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Some people forget to do that. Some folk never do it, and yet we thrive and exist because of that kind of crap.
That's right.
Sorry. I wish we didn't have to. Trust me. I wish I weren't so good at it. Just weaving it into the conversation.
It's so woven.
But yeah, listen, normally this show is news, reviews, and recommendations. We are going to be doing reviews and recommendations, but the news portion, I don't know about you, but I have a special segment we're going to use instead of news.
Okay.
San Diego Comic-Con is next week, I think.
Yeah, it's like 9 days away.
It's 9 days away. So I want to let you know that Tiffany and I are going to be there.
Are we?
Yes, we have hotel rooms. We have tickets. We are in the process of procuring airfare. We're going to be in California. Listen, you want to say hi? Come to San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest con in the world, and see us there. We'll Comic-Con anyway.
Yeah, I'll be jet lagged. That'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. But if you want to see us, let us know in the in the chat, in the comments. How I don't know how we're going to be able to gauge how many of you will be there. I didn't plan that last year at all. Like I just went and ran into a few of you, but who knows? Because California is one of our biggest states that watches this channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that's true. No, historical Tiffy is correct. California is one of the biggest states in the union, but also in terms of population density for people who watch this channel and our other channels, of course, as well. Speaking of channels, if you want to go to youtube.com at ComicPop Plays or / ComicPop Plays, you should subscribe and watch, because we've just launched the new series or the new streams of Tiffany playing Arkham Knight. So that will round out all of her Arkham play. It includes Arkham Origins, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight now. I don't know if Arkham Origins has been streamed or has been put on the channel, but it is available. We do have it. So Arkham Knight is happening. That's going to be for the next week and a half, basically, 11 videos of that. And those videos range from 2 to 4 hours long. So check out that and more. We just finished Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
and
we finished. I did not finish that game in that stream.
No. There's 15 episodes of that, so I had to take a break.
It got too long. I had to stop. We had to move on to something else, and then like a tragic event happened in the game, and I dropped that game, and I picked it back up and finished it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not talking about games.
So. No, although I will mention that the supplemental material of those streams, that will be another week. Probably
when I did the DLC?
Yes.
Oh, that was fun.
But I thought I'd take a break from Ghost.
I got to pet things in that. And also Vengeance.
No argument there. But yeah, so check that out. And of course, all links that for everything we do and everything you might need or want is in the description of every video we do here. So yeah, let's talk about some comics. Before we start talking about the books that have come out this past week.
Okay.
Let's review a couple of books that are coming out on Wednesday of this week.
How would we do that?
Well, we would do that because we are part of a very prestigious few who are on the IDW press list, who have asked us to take a look at some books and share our thoughts, regardless of opinions, so we can be as harsh as we want. We can really dig into these, though I do admit that I don't ask to be on, nor do I participate in press lists. unless I have some vested interest in the properties that are being reviewed, and I don't go out of my way to find a book that I don't like. So don't be surprised if I happen to like these books.
Okay.
But I was surprised that I liked this book in particular, and that would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things from IDW and Dark Horse. Yeah, this is a series that I never expected, nor did I expect to like. It is written by Cameron Chittock, with art by Pharaoh Pei, with colors by Sophie Dogston. And I mention that only because the first version that I had of this was black and white.
Right.
And the black and white version was great. And it really gave you this kind of like feeling of reading an 80s Ninja Turtles book, and helped to carry over the Stranger Things 80s aesthetic.
Okay.
That said, Faye's Dogson's colors are great.
Okay.
And it allows for this series to look really cool. If you're wondering if the Turtles have a unique color scheme, no.
Oh.
These are red masked 1980s Turtles, very much in the Eastman Laird style.
Cool.
Set in New York City in 1985. The Stranger Things gang, they go on a field trip to New York City with Mr. Clark.
What a disaster waiting to happen.
Easily.
Like, you can barely keep track of those kids in
I know,
Hawkins,
in their own damn town.
and you're going to take them to New York.
Oh, no, he loses them immediately. They start
is it
looking
just
at
them? Does he have a whole class, or is it just them?
It seems to be just them, but I think there is a whole class so that he can lose track of them.
Okay.
But they intercept Elle, who promised, since she doesn't go to their school, to meet up with them via her own method. She took a bus. Mike
Okay.
is very surprised by this because he doesn't know about the spin-off pilot that they did where she met
right.
up with a bunch of mutants. I'm sorry. I mean, whatever you want to call her kind, that was clearly not an X-Men parallel. But she bumps into them, so now Elle's with the team. They go into the subway. They encounter what they think is a Demogorgon. What they discover is instead this Demogorgon is merged with a Mouser.
What?
It is fusing Mouser technology from theoretically from Baxter Stockman and the Demogorgon physiology. So they get attacked. They bump into the Turtles. Immediately save them. They get brought to the lair. They meet Master Splinter. We see them talk to Donatello about D&D. You know, they're like, I can't believe that you four don't play D&D. Donatello says not for lack of trying, which I think is fantastic. And immediately they're like, okay, we need to figure out where Baxter Stockman is. We need to do the Elle blindfold thing. They give her one of the masks, but without any eye holes cut out of them. Raphael is very cross about it because he's like, you didn't earn this. This belongs to this is only earned after years of martial arts study and training and so forth. But we'll use it in this situation. But then give it back to me immediately.
Okay.
But she locates Baxter Stockman, you know, and then they're like, all right, we need to do two different stories. So we're going to split up the Turtles and the Stranger Things kids immediately. That every trope that you'd expect from a Turtles crossover and a Stranger Things story, which is any season. Okay, here we all are. We're all friends and we're doing this thing. Oh no, we have to split up. And we probably will get split up until the end of the story.
But I'm sure this is a little more fun with teams because I'm sure there's like
there's two turtles per team, and off they go. Are there ninjas? Yes. Are there evil scientists? Yes. Demogorgons, evil technology? Absolutely. Everyone's written in character, and because they're children. I don't think this is. I think this is probably between. I mean, it's 85, so I don't know Stranger Things as a property well enough. I love this show.
Right.
But I don't like obsessively
you don't have an
track it.
Encyclopedic knowledge.
I
of the
don't.
Timeline.
Like, I don't know what 1985 is for them. So I just say, listen, it's an 85, whatever year or whatever season 85 encompasses. Let's say it's that. Right. I'm guessing this is probably only going to encompass like a week, if that, of time.
Yeah. I mean, how long could they lose the kids without someone being like,
Yeah.
So, all right, that's cool.
Yep. But you get to see the Turtles in action, and they are deliberately drawn to look like they're in, because it's 1985. So it's like, let's go back and just pull up those old designs and that look for the Turtles.
Right.
But their attitudes are still very much in keeping with their characters. The kids are themselves. And because they, the children, they run into the Turtles and they're like, right, that's awesome. They're not like Ethan. They don't go running for the hills when they see a giant mutant rat.
To be fair, I might panic about that too.
Yeah.
I think even as a kid, I might have like bigger than you. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's dark.
They're
But
not
these
very
kids-
tall. They're only like
these-
4.5 feet tall.
Well, it depends on what age I'm at. But like these kids have seen a little more. So
Yes.
sure.
Well, and most of the horrible like 4-foot monsters they see try to kill them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't love pizza or hanging out, you know.
Mm.
So anyway, if you want to check this out, it comes out this Wednesday. It's an intercompany crossover, which you know I'm a big fan of.
That's
From
true.
IDW and Dark Horse, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Stranger Things. It is definitely worth checking out. It's a really fun series. And I think they could easily make a black and white variant if they want to and release that too, if you want to get that kind of feeling going.
That's great.
But not to be outdone, there are other books from IDW that we are here to talk about that are coming out this Wednesday.
Yeah, while you were reading that, I read The Hunger and the Dusk by G. Willett Wilson with art by Chris Wildgoose.
Nice.
That's a fitting name.
I agree.
This is a like fantasy style story. Think without actually thinking about it, think World of Warcraft. But just, you know, like I've tried to get into some of the World of Warcraft comics and other things because I played, I enjoyed, right?
Mhm.
It just I didn't want as much as I like the lore of the game.
You did.
I just didn't want to deal with all of it because sometimes the comics rely on you knowing.
Yeah.
So like think that feel, but without feeling like, oh God, I don't remember everything about the game.
Great.
It's a
Because
brand
it's being
new,
introduced to you
it's
for
a
the first
brand
time.
new world with brand new rules. It has nothing to do with World of Warcraft at all. It just has that vibe because it has a fantasy setting. There happen to be orcs. There happen to be humans.
So it's, but that only makes you familiar with the material.
Yeah, it just makes me feel comfortable. Like I'm just like, cool, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
The way in which it's written has like an air of like modernity without it being too like edgy. And I don't say edgy necessarily in a bad way, but like, you know, like Rat Queen's critical
Vox
role.
Machina.
Yeah. Like there is like a different like voice to that.
Yes.
And it's definitely modern, but it's a different voice. This feels modern without skewing to that side so much. That doesn't mean there isn't room for it later on, maybe depending on where the characters develop. But it's not relying on that, like, you know,
that circumvention of trope where it's like, no, they're going to say curse words and they're going to make references that they wouldn't make.
Wrong
Anachronism.
with that, but it has been done now.
Yes.
You know, and so they're like, this story is very much not leaning into that at all, which
Okay.
I really liked. I enjoyed this quite a bit. There's a couple clunky lines in it here or there, but for the most part, I really enjoyed this world. The art is gorgeous. I absolutely loved the like fluid lines, the action, the like bulk of characters at times. You know, you're in a fantasy world, you know, we're not going too crazy just yet, but that leaves us the opportunity for later issues to like reveal something that could be like, you know, like a big double page splash kind of thing. But the gist of it is like orcs and humans, they've been warring. It's like, it's kind of like if you're a Trekkie fan, it's like the Federation
and the Klingons.
Well, or like Romulans,
or
like,
the
Romulans,
or whatever.
An edge.
Oh, there's a neutral zone.
Yeah, well, and you don't really go across it, but like orcs have been pushing out, and humans, you know, venture in. You know, like, oh, okay, whatever. But then all of a sudden, a third party enters the fray, and they're ever so much worse.
Perfect.
And so it causes both sides to kind of pause and go like, we should probably make peace because neither of our sides will survive.
Right.
And so there's like a little bit of a trade-off where like an orc's going to go and join up with like this human band and we're going to go from there. Right. And I'm very interested in this. I really like the enemy they've created. They're scary. They're spooky. You know, they have a hunger, and which they mentioned, but it's not like outright vampires.
Okay, good.
It's not that. It's just they have a hunger. And one of the orcs even says it's like they're talking about like why they're going through this. And they're like, listen, like we could fight the humans on the battlefield and they'll be there and like, you know, we could have a war, but these guys will like take babies from their beds. Like,
right.
We can't win that.
Yeah.
We're not winning that.
Okay.
Like, you know, we can try and fight against them and we can probably win against the humans.
Yeah. We'll fight against them on the battlefield though. They're not going to break the rules of engagement.
Right. So like good work all around. Wilson really weaving a great story, and like Wild Goose bringing like some excellent art. Just really enjoying the fantasy world, feeling lived in, but feeling very comfortable and like as though I can participate and join this world. So if you like fantasy, grab The Hunger and the Dusk this Wednesday.
Comes out on the Wednesday. Both these books are coming out on Wednesday, so check those out as well. Really quick, we have a couple super chats that I wanted to get to. I believe, you know, it showed me one, but I don't. Here we go. MP, what is your personal definitive Batman run? It's a tough call because there are so many, and I like a lot of different Batman runs, and for me, it's about Alan Davis and Norm Brayfogle. That's not definitive, but it is like the one that I have the most affinity for, despite the fact that it toes the line between like silly and grit, and it's getting there. The Snyder Capullo run is a close second.
I was gonna say that one, but then I was also gonna cop out and go like Legends of the Dark Knight. I love that because it's not necessarily a run, but like just the idea of like the many facets of Batman.
Yes,
like it's just such a great opportunity to like check out different elements of his life.
Agreed.
And detecting style.
Ray Farr, I think this series was a YA push. Some neat ideas though. I'm sure that's a number. It's a number in the multiverse chart. Also, woo, more Bat Tiff on the Returns channel.
Yay!
I'm not sure to what he's referring.
The series. We're gonna come back. We were talking about me doing ComicPop Plays, so it must have been something before that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll check the chat while you're
Please
doing
do.
that and see. You don't even have to make it a super chat. Just make
no,
it a regular
exactly.
chat.
Arduit says, ComicPop Woo, bit the bullet and got the DC Infinite app, started Hellblazer and Dawn of DC Superman. Question for you. By the way, congratulations. It's a great series.
Yeah.
Is Doom Patrol something y'all would consider for back issues? I'm about to start Gerard Way's run soon. Well, lucky for you, Gerard Way's run is where we started, and we did do Doom Patrol on back issues. Tiffany hosted it, and it was the Nick Darrington Gerard Way, at least the first volume, brick by brick, which is an amazing series. Check that out. You'll love it. But we've never done the Grant Morrison run, which we probably will one day. But that'll be probably the limit of Doom Patrol that people can probably stomach on that show. Ray Farr, ever read Marvel Adventure Spider-Man? It's a reboot ish of 616 where Eddie Brock is a burglar and Pete gets the symbiote from Tinkerer. Interesting. I think that's where it connects with I think the series is why I push some of the ideas there. But yeah, I've never heard of it. I did read a little bit of Marvel Adventure Spider-Man, but only like in snippets, like only pages at a time. I really liked the inter-universe of it. I liked the Secret Wars idea behind it. Like they played up that story as well. Cool stuff overall. Good art too.
Yeah.
Jackson Boy, thanks for your recommendations. I have been reading Once in Future and Something's Killing the Children, and they are great. Any more indie recommendations?
Well, if you liked Once in Future, now if you liked it because of the content and the action packedness of it, you may not love Die as much, but Die is another great Kieran Gillen series, and it's all wrapped up, so you can just grab all of it. It's pretty long running. It has a lot to do with like literature, but it's just such a well-crafted story. It's like Dark Jumanji, so if that's up your alley, definitely I highly recommend that. Currently I'm really enjoying Indigo Children, Phantom Road.
Yep.
And I gotta get back on a World Tree.
Yes. He also asks, the D-Dubs interview, I call him Dubbers, was cool and got me to buy Wonder Woman Dead Earth, and I'll check out his indie works too. Keep introducing us to cool writers. I'm trying, man. I hope you enjoy. Let me know without using super chats. Just tell me, did you enjoy Dead Earth? Because I love that series. Ray Farr. Also, oh my God, congratulations on the Implicitly Pretentious video. Yes, thank you. Our pal over at Implicitly Pretentious was a big fan of the Tom King interview that we conducted. One of them. We've had many over the years. But one of them in which we talk about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. He used quite a bit of it to kind of like as a springboard to talk about the trauma of that series and all the incredible like characterizations that King infuses into Kara. And of course, I really appreciated the loving and glowing shout out at the end of the video too. Thank you so much to our friends over Implicitly Pretentious. MP, what is your personal definitive run of Batman? We answered that already. And Curative Writer, been liking teases for the next back issues in the last few. Yeah, if you keep an eye out, eagle-eyed viewers, for things I'd like to cover one day or might be happening sooner, they're always on the set. Or at least little tidbits.
You never know. Sal puts all kinds of things on there, and sometimes he's like, haha, I'm hinting at this.
That's true. And Mega A1 Thunder Force, thanks so much for an Amazon Books tip. The other week, I finally read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and it was everything you said it was.
Yay, that's great. I love like free things. So again, I mentioned this last time or last time we did the show, I don't remember. If you have Amazon Prime, it means you have access to the Amazon like Kindle library.
Yeah.
And a lot of trades are in there, like comic book trades. And so you can catch up on some books. It's part of what you're paying for from Amazon. Take advantage of it.
It's true. I read Spider-Man 10 from Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. I'm really avoiding Spider-Man lately, but I had some extra time and I thought, screw it, I'll read this. This covers a lie. There is no Goblin Glider. He flies around, and so anybody might be complaining about that. You know, you can forget about it. It's just a fun cover. By the way, great A game from Bagley. Great looking cover. Great looking art within as well. Just a really, really like classic looking and feeling Spider-Man comic. I really enjoyed it despite the presence of Spider-Boy. But yeah, the whole thing is just Pete ramps up his spider sense. He's able to feel danger for other people instead of just himself, but it's overwhelming and it's screwing him up. Dan Slott does this amazing ballet dance with this character, and it has always since his beginning of his career, of being like, here's Peter Parker. He is selfless and he's incredible, and he's also a dickwad, and let's make sure to diminish him a little bit. Every victory he has, you have to take something away. Okay. So like there's a great moment where he gets onto the police band, or the fireman's band, and reports all of the accidents or potential danger that all these different people are in throughout New York City because of the advanced and augmented spider sense. And so it's very similar to the ending of Spider Island, if you remember that, where he like saves everyone. Mm-hmm. So it's this great, and he also uses his Avengers priority ID card to do it. And you're like, oh man, great. And then everyone in the room is like, clearly though, you needed to get this power taken away from you because you were so weak and unable to handle it. Like you were clearly collapsing as a human being. And I'm like, cool. So there's always that. But it was a fun issue that, had a lot of action in it. It's one of the few Electro stories where Max Dillon's actually doing something, and that's really fun, and it's rare to get that. Also, Spider-Boy's there, and who cares? I also read Adventures of Superman Jonathan Kent #5 from Tom Taylor and Clayton Henry. This is, of course, John is in the Injustice universe. Right. He has just teamed up with Batman, and he's like, what am I going to do, man? Superman's so mean. Ugh. And Batman's like, you should join up with us. And he's like, yeah, maybe. But don't forget, I am Superman, and I am better than all of you. And not like the other way Superman is, like where he's like a totalitarian dictator. No, morally speaking, I'm better. Okay. And so Superman uses the opportunity that Damian afforded them when he put a tracker on John to find out where Batman and his crew are hiding. I don't know if this is like an alternate Injustice or if Taylor's trying to weave this into the actual content and continuity of the Injustice series, which of course started out as a comic book adaptation of a video game tie-in, but then became its own continuity because who cares? Right. I don't know if this is more of that or if this is like a parallel Injustice, but either way, it's boring and I couldn't care less. I read this series and I read this book and was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I expected would happen. Like, and I'm not expecting to have my socks blown off or to be surprised every time. I don't want to be surprised every time I read a superhero capes and tights comic book. Okay. But I also don't expect to be bored. And this is what that is. The art also is fine. It doesn't inspire, but it's doing the job. It's very standard fare. In no way is there any like blemishes or inconsistencies. It's just, fine. Right. Right. But again, I don't care about, like, I thought I would care about John and his influence on Injustice Superman, and it turns out that I just don't. And I think that it's not because the premise is inherently bad. I think the execution is just a little mid. Oh my. Little mid. Hate to say it, but it's true. What about you, Tiffany?
Geez. What did I read this week? I read Doctor Strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did. Oh, of course. And I read Doctor Strange #5.
Jed McKay, Pascal Ferry.
I'm getting there. I wanted to pull up a fun look at how fun this is.
Oh, that's a great looking info page.
They do that every time. I'm like, I like.
They better do it every time.
They better do it every time. Written by Jed McKay with art by Pascal Ferry. As we all know, not
the biggest fan.
My favorite art, but you know what?
But these covers, though.
Yeah, no, these covers. These covers. But God. Like, the book's coming out on time, so
yeah.
Whatever. It's Umar's wedding. Yay.
Yeah, okay, who cares?
No, and being done so because she's afraid of, like, people are dropping dead left and right.
Oh, no.
Especially people who are involved with the death of Doctor Strange. And just overall, like, villainous magic people are, like, they're dying.
Oh, no.
Right? Like, Wong and, what the heck is her name? I want to say it's Cassandra, but it's not. It's not. But the chick from Wand, they're working like cases around the globe, but like she thinks like it's probably Clea.
Okay.
Because Clea's a hothead.
Yeah. Yes.
And she wants vengeance, and
she's always looking for vengeance. Don't
do that. But meanwhile, her mom's getting married because she and T-Boro, however you want to say that, want to basically unite their realms together, or like their powers together, and hopefully be able to fend off whatever might be coming for them. And like Umar at the very least is like, yeah, well, like it's kind of that, but also like maybe they'll come for him first and then I can get the hell out of there. She's like, you got lucky you got to marry for love, Clea. The rest of us don't. Like, that's not how this works for warlords. So back off. All right?
All right.
So, like, Clea and Strange have to go to the wedding. And, like, it's awkward.
Yeah.
Because, in fact, some of them think that Clea might be responsible for the death of the people, or, like, their other warlords, other magical folk, right?
Oh.
So, you know, there's tension all abounds. But... you know, it doesn't help either that who's going to oversee this? Well, it's going to be Dormammu.
Oh.
You know, Umar's brother. Why
Yeah.
not?
Okay,
Right?
cool.
So he oversees this, like, wedding.
He's efficient.
Yeah. And, you know, fun times for all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, you know.
Who crashes the wedding?
Well, they're attacked.
Yeah.
By the thing that's hurting everyone, that's getting everyone. And you're like, okay.
Oh, no. Well, what is it?
What will Jed McKay remember? And honestly, we probably should have seen this coming because there were already some pulls from this time period. Because Jed McKay clearly is he's read all, I'm sure, all of Dutch.
Yes, but he's especially
he's a
fan.
90s fan. Like, he's clearly a 90s fan.
Yes.
Right?
He's a fan of Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, that run.
Well, and also like Secret Defenders and stuff like that. We've seen some pulls from that before.
Cool.
I'm trying to recall.
Wish Wolverine were in this.
Why?
Because Wolverine was a member of the Secret Defenders.
Oh, well, maybe they'll get the band back together. But I was thinking, we were talking about like the Trinity of Ash and stuff like that. Like that comes all around the same time period of this, like just random little things that I'm like, yeah, I guess we should have figured this one out, right? But like there was a period of time in which Steve was asked to help fight like this long war by the Vishanti and like turn them down, and inevitably he like did it, right? But it took like a millennium, but like not really. Like he fought this war for that long. But then they were like, nah, it's cool, don't worry. Like we're gonna make it like that didn't happen, and we're gonna send you back like I think like 4 months or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But the Doctor Strange shows up and he's like, he's that guy.
Oh.
Presumably.
Okay.
I think that's what we're indicating here. Right? But like I'm like, I don't know how this works.
Yeah, because didn't they undo it? But
right, like we'll see. Like Jed will tell us this, but it's like, of course, like yeah, this makes total like yeah. So you know, we get a dope new looking action figure for Doctor Strange, and you know, it's interesting when you think about it. We've had Doctor Strange as the Harvestman.
Yes.
We've had Doctor Strange dying, and then another Doctor Strange
Blue
showing
Cape
up
Doctor Strange
to solve the murder of himself, and now we're gonna face like presumably
Dark Future Doctor Strange, yes,
or like this other like future war, like sort of
General Strange,
yeah. So we've got there's a little bit of a
so there's gonna be like a Council of Strangers,
like
what
a
you're
pattern
thinking?
kind of. I don't know if I even think it's a Council of Strangers. I'm just saying like it
just the idea that he has is
like
how about another version of Doctor Strange shows up?
Yeah.
But will there be one that looks like Spawn?
I hope not. I really did not.
I mean, if
and
the 90s are any indication.
And there was a reason for that whole costume, so maybe they'll do that.
I love that costume.
That's what's going on with Doctor Strange. You know, it's well written. You know, the pulls are deep and fun, and if like there's plenty of like reference notes in there for you, which is great, and it will help you if you're a fan of this series to go like, oh, okay, I have a place to start now.
Yes.
Like follow these editor notes. I know they're like sometimes it seems like unnecessary, but with a character like Doctor Strange, if you like what you're reading here, you might like some of the books that they're referencing, because this writer, I can tell you, read these books. I don't know that for sure, but
clearly he had to read some of it in order to know what's going on.
If you want to like get the same inspiration that he's pulling from,
yes,
go check out some of those issues.
Right? I agree. Those covers are amazing.
I know. They're freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Just bam, bam, bam. So good.
A very quick shout to Dark Horse Comics' series from Scott Snyder and Tula Lotay. This is a series that I had been clamoring for ever since Scott teased it on a show that we did here on this channel. But the first issue is out, and as much as I would love to sing its praises, given that it came from Dark Horse, I have to give it a couple of dings. And the reason why I'm going to give dings, first and foremost, the writing is good, the art is great, and the concept is fantastic. I love this as an idea. I don't know about you guys, but the version that I saw in the store was crappy. It had the
Mm.
bowing of a self-published book. It had not a misprint, but a miscutting of its cover. And the pages felt flimsy and heavy, like ink soaked, which is indicative of like just bad printing. So maybe there was a bad batch that our shop got, but it's a bad indication because Dark Horse it's a standard setter. IDW and Dark Horse print books. They know how to print. They do a good job.
I think there's a difference between what they might consider to be a disposable version of this versus like a bound.
Well, it utterly is
version of it.
Now that said, it is 56 pages.
Yeah, I mean, like
for $5, by the way.
They're gonna have to cut back on the cost somewhere.
Why? Like, then why make it? Is my point. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to make a shitty product, then why would you even release it? You know, like unless you up the price and make it a better print.
I disagree with you on that.
Well, what would you have done? Let's say you were.
Let's say you were. Leave it the way it is.
Just leave it the way it is.
Like the fact is, it's like, yes. Do I want to see like high quality print on things? Sure.
Yeah.
I think though with like floppies, I'd rather see more people be able to afford them and be able to have them in their hands. And like when you want to shoot for quality, shoot it for it when it comes to the bound like versions of these products that you can put on your shelf. But like I don't see like it's a disappointment, but like the month to month, like I'd rather have people be able to get these stories.
Yeah, that's fair. Jumping into super chats really quick. Atomica says, hey, popular people. Hi, Atomica. No spoilers, but Night Terrors was fine. I liked some tie-ins better. Honestly, it's a reason for me to take 2 months off. Quite a few people said that. Hopefully not everybody, but I hear what you're saying. John Kata, curious, did you guys in the US ever get any Marvel UK titles like Dragon's Claws, Death's Head, or Warheads over there? Yes, we did. We also got Wild Thing, which I definitely picked up at least the first 3 issues of. We do have the first issue of Warheads, at least, if not 2. I think Doctor Strange is in Warheads, which is why we have it.
I think we have one of the other ones too.
Yeah, we definitely have Death's Head 2, if not Death's Head 1.
Yeah.
No, we've definitely got all those Marvel UK books, and I can't say I'm a huge fan of them, but because they're very, they're very British invasion. They're not what I expected when I picked up those series. Wild Thing is very much like a crazy ass Aeon Flux kind of Marvel comic. It's not. I wouldn't even call it a Marvel comic. It's that insane, but it's a really cool series. One day we'll cover it on The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, I promise. Okay. Alios says, recently finished Wonder Woman Historia by Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Very nice.
And the art was incredible. Was wondering if there will be an episode in the future on it. I would say it's more probable than improbable. Joe Fayant says, in Spider-Man theme, Spider-Boy. I'm not singing it. No one cares about this boy. Only here to give Dan Slott more money. Look out. Here comes the Spider-Boy. Agreed. It's a good song. I do like your lyric. And you're not wrong in that. Dante Cook, read Night Terrors, and I have to say, this is a big event I want. I'm in the camp of enough massive events from the big 2, but this I'm here for. I only bought 3 out of 50 books released this week, but I can't wait for the trade paperback. Agreed, man. You that's the way to go. You know what I mean? Like, pick and choose the ones you want to read now, and then if you get a chance to read the rest, great. And if you find the trades available and for a reasonable price, certainly they'll be less expensive than getting the month to month. Then you're in the you're in the clear. Tevia, question: why can't DC just DH John Ken already? Because the people in charge who did that still work there, and it didn't impact sales, so they're not going to do that anytime soon. And Davey900 says, I swear I thought Adventures of Superman was supposed to be an ongoing, but I saw online it's just a mini-series with 1 more issue to go. I'm also bored by it. And will the new title be relaunched? Number 1, yeah, I didn't know that either. Number 2, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Number 3, who cares? Let it be what it is, and then when it's done, it can move on. I don't know if John really commands his own title as much as people think he does. And it's not an indictment of the character. It's just an indictment of, or it's more like an indication of the way the financial winds are blowing. But if the stripper index is any indication, apparently the economy is on an uptick again. So that's good to hear. I just read about this recently. This idea that
really came out of left field for me. I'm following you now that we're here, now that we've gotten to the end of the street.
Yeah.
But as we were going down that road, I had no idea where we were going.
Yeah, apparently, and it's an amateur or armchair economic theory, but the idea is that the first place that money is tight, let's say, is at strip joints. And so if it's not unlike the myth that is that like the aftermarket or the home theater market is dictated by pornography. In this, it's fewer people are going to spend less money at the strip club first. That's where they're going to first spend less when it's an indication that the economy is heading in a downturn. And then when money goes back into it, we know that people have enough money to spend.
Okay.
Yeah, it's totally amateur, but it's also just a fun little metric.
Sure.
Paul Williams, hi, I hope you're both well. Thank you very much, Paul. I hope you are too. I see the playlist. You're nearly at 100 episodes of Batman. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for this Wednesday because it's a big old Batman book. I'll tell you that. Tiffany, what else did you read this week?
Let's talk about some X-Men. I read X-Men number 24 this week.
Yay.
Written by Jerry Duggan with art by Josh Cassara.
Yep.
Listen, if you thought this had anything to do with anything other than the coming gala and fall of House of X, that's all these books are going to be. Like, that's what it is, right? This brings back friend Pog for a hot second.
Hooray!
I
guess people love him.
No, he's fine. He's fun. It brings back Cable, like younger Cable.
What?
Yeah, he comes back from the future. He's like, we had to stop the events of the gala.
Oh,
I was like, cool, dope. Shows up, Moira and the Omega Sentinel and Nimrod take him down, but they don't kill him.
Okay.
Because if you kill him, there's a chance that other Cables will be alerted to that. They'll show up. So like, we can't do that. Put him on ice. Done. Off the table. If you were reading this and you weren't reading the Rogue and Gambit series, then you have no idea that this conversation between Rogue and Destiny that's in this issue is being developed in another story, which is a mini series in which Rogue and Gambit were sent out to get Manifold. Manifold is a key to this. Like, he is key. If he falls, that's it.
Okay.
Like, if then humanity loses, according to Moira. Like, he's the problem.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, so like now Rogue's mission is a lot more intense.
Yeah.
So Destiny and Rogue have a big conversation about that. And in which she says some cryptic things about like kings clashing in white, black after the death of the Red Queen. I see a Jovian bolt from the heavens. I see stars ripped in half.
Oh,
I hear the poisoning lies of the false captain. His rank earned. I'm like, okay, the fool who speaks the truth will pay the price. And Rogue's like, what? Which admittedly was me when I first read that. And then I was like, all right. And I started like trying to pull it apart. There's a couple of people who could fit the role of the Red Queen.
Yep.
Obviously, it could very easily be Kitty Pryde, or it could be Mother Righteous, or it could be Jean Grey.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who could fit that role for sure. But we're not here to really delve into that whole thing. But I appreciate that Duggan is carrying on the Hickmanian tradition of prophecy.
Yes.
Throughout. I gotta be honest with you. I don't know how other people feel about this. I think some people are on board. Some people are like just done with X-Men as a whole. But I feel as though X-Men right now has felt a little closer to when it kicked off with Hickman than it has in some recent times.
Yeah.
So it's a nice welcome back, even if we're coming to like this like crazy, like, oh my gosh, the fall of the House of X, what's gonna happen? We were reminded too that something happened with Magic Sword, that like Orcus has its hands in everything, and Orcus is like going to be the main foil for everyone.
It's weird. It's not the old people who love plants. Should have been them.
I just like them showing up.
I know.
Pog from Ten of Swords and really just Ten of Swords fame, is the main villain for this, in that he attacks Game World, and it's really not a big deal.
Okay.
He's there just to do something, like, it's just like, oh, we're doing something, fine, whatever, so the rest of the story can happen around it, which is really that excuse me, that Jean and Scott are having a rough time.
Yes, they are going through a patch.
And what like, how are they dealing with the recent issue with the Brood? The two of them have been kind of strained. They haven't really talked about it. Jean takes the opportunity after everyone leaves, because they were going to the casino anyway to like blow off some steam. Everyone kind of bails, and they're like, cool, I guess we'll talk about it now.
Okay, great.
So they do. And Jean's leaving the X-Men.
Okay.
And she's like, and if you like want to, you should follow us. Like you should
Oh.
follow me. Like you shouldn't stay. She mentions the fact that like she's like, you know, I'm really proud of what you did, like what you've done here, like
Mhm.
building up the X-Men, like everything that you've done. She's like, I helped to build a whole world and you never set foot on it.
Right.
He's like, I think I went there one time.
Mhm.
Right? Like
Mhm.
it's, and I thought that was going one way. It's actually going a very different way in which that like it's not about like her making things over him making things.
Yeah.
He's afraid of Araco Mars because he's like, if we tell humans that we could leave,
Right.
they're going to expect us to.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm going to be here to fight for mutantdom and for mankind,
Yes.
like to work together. And I was like, that's kind of cool, right? Like we're in this instance where I'm like, you know, elements of what she's saying totally make sense, but like Scott isn't wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and he's almost more embodying the original dream
Yes.
of Xavier.
Right.
So I'm like, that's neat. Really, really enjoy it. Or like just enjoyed this conversation. No clear villain, no clear, you know, person who's in the right at all. Like just a complicated conversation between two people who have a deep relationship.
Yes.
Awesome. You know, Jean visits Polaris, and then we see that Magic is visiting with Sunfire because he's been charged with going into Otherworld to get Redroot back.
Oh.
Now, do you remember who Redroot was?
Vaguely.
Redroot was one of the sword fighters for Araco.
Yeah.
Who got left with Mad Jim Jaspers in the little jar.
Yes.
And
Okay.
he's going to go and get her back.
Okay.
And I'm like, what a random like thing to remember. What a dangling plot thread that you're like, don't forget that. I'm like,
thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah.
We also see a little blip in Magic's abilities.
Mm.
So it's like, yep, all right, cool. And then our tease like a fun like months later.
X months later.
Yeah, and I'm like,
10.
dope.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here for that. Like this issue a little wheel spinny in terms of like we get some action for the X-Men, like they do some stuff.
Yeah.
But really that's not what it's about. Like,
sure.
You know, we bring back a Pog. We, you know, let Magic have fun conversations and what have you. But like really
sounds like a lot happened actually.
It is, but it's not like I feel like the X-Men this team hasn't really had a chance to just be like, we're doing X-Men things.
No.
They do X-Men things, but really it's because we need to tell you
I fear that that's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this group didn't really get a fair shake. But there's been so many good character moments.
Yeah, that's a good balance.
Yeah, I kind of feel okay.
Fair.
So.
Cool. Did you want to keep going with X-Men?
Sure, we can talk about Sinister before the fall. Sinister 4 #1.
Yeah.
So the X-Men Before the Fall is like the overarching title for this. We've been talking about these before. This one happens to be Sinister 4, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Paco Medina. So you know it looks
great,
amazing.
Yep.
It looks so good. This is the like Kieran Gillen just really likes to write about Sinister. But, no, it's excellent because as we know, there are 4 versions of Sinister, right? There's Orbis Stellaris, there's Dr. Stasis, there's Mother Righteous, and Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister is currently underneath Araco.
Yes.
Mother Righteous has just returned along with everybody else from the Sins of Sinister timeline. She remembers all that. She shared that information and she's kind of like getting her talents into like everything, right? Including wanting to be a part of Orcus, even though she helped out recently by like taking down Nimrod.
Yeah.
So Nimrod's like, excuse me.
Right.
But Mr. Stasis, who is seemingly a Sinister without an X gene.
Yeah.
And fights for humanity. He's very interested in her because he knows that she looks like Nathaniel Essex's wife.
Right.
And so we get the backstory on that. We get to, learn about Rebecca and a little bit about how the two of them got together and a hint at their relationship. And this is just one big date for these two.
Okay.
So that's what he does. He asks her to come to dinner and they do it up and they talk about times past. They talk about plans for the future. And he asks for something specific. Now, admittedly, this issue should have come probably before another issue, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The last, I think it was Immortal X-Men that came out. you could read it other way. This was kind of fun to be like, oh, okay, cool. It answered a question I had from the last issue. Whatever.
Cool. All right, great.
But like Stasis asks one specific thing. Like he's like, you can get in with them, but you have to prove yourself in 2 ways. One, you got to do this one thing. He tells her what it is. 2, you have to have a date with me. And like earlier in the issue, when you see the 2 of them back in the Victorian era, and he like proposes to her, and he says like, we're gonna have like an amazing life and all this stuff, and she's like, oh, you asked for the moon. She says that again. She's like, oh, you asked for it again. But all right, give me until morning, we'll do that. They had to do the whole thing. She goes off to get what he asks for. It entails utilizing like a long forgotten like death god that you can see to open up what is essentially like the river Styx, and she fights like what looks like Charon, but maybe not quite. But he springs in action to save her because he's like, he can't help himself. Like he is the more human side of Stasis or of Nathaniel Essex. In fact, he claims that while he has false memories,
like he's the original, right?
He believes that, and she helps to kind of correct that because she's like, no, see, I have this book, and she's been showing the other Sinisters this book, and the book explains that it's like none of us are. Nathaniel Essex made versions of us.
Yes,
like post dealing with Apocalypse.
Okay,
and he believes that he's like, I'm all of the stuff that he purged. Like that was purged from him by Apocalypse because he didn't want to remember. He didn't want to deal with the loss of his family. Like he couldn't handle it. He couldn't let it go. And he's like, I am that. So he's like, I'm Dr. Stasis. I don't want things to change.
Yes.
And she's like, that's really not dealing with anything at all.
Right. No, that's a great name. That's a great origin for his name.
Right. It's excellent.
Yeah.
But he'll always be there to like save her because of who, like, he's like, I know you're not really her and I'm not really him, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Who does she bring to, like, what does she bring to him?
Right. Yeah. I want to know.
It's Celine.
Oh, right.
I was like,
I forgot that they brought her back in.
Back?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how.
Okay.
Orcus asked her to come back as like a little bit of a plant. And
okay.
Like, Orcus literally has its hands in everything right now. And like, it's very clear that Krakoa doesn't seem to know.
Right.
And I kind of dig that. Like, it's going to be coming from all fronts. It's going to be a war on many fronts, presumably. By the end of it, their date ends and she's essentially like, this is fine. Like, whatever. Like, he's like completely, going to be infatuated with me and I'm going to use that to my advantage. Great. He says that he doesn't know who Orbis Stellaris is. He didn't know there was a 4th one.
Right.
She's like, yeah, there is. It's cool. Don't worry about it. But he did know. And in fact, the 2 of them talking, and like Stellaris is like, she's using you. And he's like, I know, it's fine.
Oh, all right. So everyone's on the same page, but also hiding it from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
There's also like some fun info dump pages in here. I love these because it's like chapter 8 of the Fall of the House of X uncorrected manuscript for review only. It's so freaking clever. This is part of the book that she shows him. So there's just a lot going on in this issue. If you like Sinister at all, but like are looking for not the Sinister we've gotten so far, and you want to know a little bit more about Mother Righteous, trust me, this is a worthwhile read. It's written by Kieran Gillen, so it's expertly written.
Yep.
The art is fantastic. It looks so good. It just looks so good. Yeah. So
cool.
Stuff.
All right. Speaking of X-Men, really quick, just as a quick aside, today the illustrious Ryan Reynolds revealed a sneak peek, if you will, at both the updated Deadpool costume for Deadpool 3 and what Logan is going to look like, aka the Hugh Jackman character in Deadpool 3, who may or may not be the version that we all remember and love, or a totally new version, probably more likely the latter. So if you don't want to be spoiled, hang out for a second. But in the meantime, there's only and what I believe it is a cell phone pic of these actors in their costumes on their way, like to this, like through the set. But this is what Wolverine is going to look like in the upcoming Deadpool 3 movie. It is clearly based off of the Astonishing X-Men John Cassidy design. Thoughts?
I mean, I didn't think I'd ever see Hugh Jackman in the yellow suit, but here we are.
Yeah.
I'm whatever. Like, I didn't expect to get this, so I've got nothing to complain about.
No, I love it. I think it looks great. Like I had such a strong reaction to it that I wanted to know who the costume designer was on Deadpool 3 so that we could demand that person continues to work on other Marvel projects.
Okay.
Because it's just great. Like I love the I love the color. They're going full yellow with it.
Yeah.
I love the blue accents. I know a lot of people in the comments were complaining. Not in these comments, but
no, I saw that people were like,
why isn't it brown? I'm like, why does it need to be brown? Like, you know why it's not brown? Because Deadpool was created in the 90s. That's why. Because it's the one that Ryan Reynolds remembers.
Additionally, how many times has Wolverine been on screen not in this costume?
Yeah.
Or in any of the yellow based costumes. It's just funny to hear people finally get it and then still complain.
Right.
But I think no matter what, even if it was the brown one, people have been like, I
can't believe they did the brown before the yellow one.
Yeah.
It's just what a shame. But that
I
said,
can't believe the brown one before the blue one. I can't believe that. Yeah. It's just once you have something, it's instead of having this or nothing, it's but we could have had that.
Yeah.
Once you put that out there, it's But I don't know. It's cool.
They got the shoulder things. They got there's so much right about it. I'm very okay with all of it. I was just really excited about it. I was like, that's really cool. And I was really thrilled that it exists.
Yeah.
Much less that it's in this incarnation. Similarly, I really like Deadpool's suit as well.
Yeah, it looks good. I even like the fact that it's the brown belt.
Yeah, the brown belt. The fact they both have belts. The fact that Hughes has an X on it.
Yes.
Deadpool's has the Deadpool logo. It differentiates them, but also there's a unity. There's a cohesion between them that really works. That you'd expect from this kind of universe. I'm very okay with it.
I like the saturation too. Now, of course, this is a cell phone pic, so it may not end up looking like this 100% color palette wise in the movie.
Yeah,
the movies are color graded. They're shot in a log format, and then
and who knows? Maybe there's a CG version of it that they're going to use that when he's doing action and stuff like that.
Yeah, no idea. But I really like how saturated they are. They're bright. They're colorful.
Yeah.
There
was a little bit of complaint about the sleeves. I didn't notice them until I saw complaints. I'm okay with the one way or the other. I'd be cool with them if they weren't sleeves. I'd be okay. I'm cool with it because there are sleeves. I like it all.
I have a question about that.
Yeah, I've seen the John Cassidy version without sleeves, and it looks like you could have them or not. I like them because here's what I like. Hugh Jackman doesn't have to do an insane body regimen to do it.
Right.
Or he could, and they shoot a scene where he's roided out or whatever.
Right.
And then the rest of it, he doesn't have to. He only has to torture his body a little bit in order to get the one shirtless scene.
Right. Well, I was wondering. No, okay. I think it's fine. I was just wondering. Sometimes he does a lot of musical theater. I don't know if he's in anything right now. But I was wondering if that was part of it too, where it's if he's committed to another project, he can't be jacked.
Right, he can't be Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And then go back to.
Exactly. But I'm just excited about that. I think it's great.
Right. Yeah, I do too. I like it quite a bit. I was surprised that they leaked that, but I guess at the same time they're there
were a couple of pictures of the Deadpool suit that were leaked photos, and I think that this was a way for him to get around it.
Sure. It's kind of fun little stealth marketing too.
Yeah, to remind people hey, this movie exists. We're still working on it. It's still happening.
Exactly. Especially in the wake of some, recent movies not doing so well.
Most of them. Yeah.
And not, generating as much hype. So I could definitely see them trying to sneak it in and keep it more a through line as opposed to just wham, it's out.
Right. Here's everything about it a week before it comes out, and then
it's also Ryan Reynolds. He clearly has a specific way in which he thinks that marketing should be run.
Yep.
And
he's not wrong, by the way. Paul Williams, I hope you're both well. He said that already. Steampunk recently finished Hickman's Secret Warriors, and it was as good as I expected. I recommend it if you haven't read it. Yes, we read it, and we have 3 copies of it. Paul Williams was disappointed to find out the new Alex Ross Fantastic Four book was a paperback instead of a hardcover. Makes me wish Marvel stepped up their game and did more hardcovers like DC, who do really nice ones. I disagree. I think DC's hardcovers are very cheap. And just made
but at least they make them.
They do make them. Marvel does not believe in hardcovers, and if that's the case, I think Marvel should just partner up with IDW and let IDW just make their hardcovers for them. Since IDW does those those large artist editions for them, there is a working relationship. Just let someone else do it. If you don't believe in it, Although I think that the guy who was in charge, who would make those kinds of decisions, isn't there anymore. Now I'm kind of like, well, why haven't you stepped up as a publisher? Because that's what you've always been. And like, I'm sick of these publishers pretending they don't publish books. Lenny Laserdiscs, Comic Pop, glad to hear you both. I'm formerly Beeper Leaper. Hey, I know that name.
Hey.
Had a rough month, but I'm catching up. Back up with comics. Got a huge stack to read. Thank you both.
Nice.
Thank you, former Beeper Leaper.
Don't let that stack scare you. Just jump into it.
Yeah, just read whenever you can. I am Awakeify. Glad to catch another live show. Tiffany, have you considered or played Remedy's Alan Wake or Control games?
We've played both.
Might be worth looking into. Heard rumor that he could be working on a Doctor Strange.
I would love that. Control is, I mean, like, I love Alan Wake. Don't get me wrong. I played the original, and then I played the remaster. The remaster, if you have a choice, play the remaster. Personally, for me, the controls on that game, way better. And Control, I want to go back because we played it on my PC, which could not handle any of the fancy bells and whistles, but like that game deserves to look as good as all that. That game is so good.
Yeah.
This game is so good. It's like Dread, but like supernaturally, you know, like Twin Peaksian sort of. Yeah.
You played that on stream, I believe.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Some good music in that game too.
Girk Pectus, it really annoys me that Night Terrors had to add the Sandman lore with the Nightmare Stone. Why not just use the Dream Stone, even if it reminds us of Wonder Woman 84? Couldn't care less.
We haven't even gotten into that.
Boris Fraser, Sal, let's talk about strippers. Index, Tiffany, do you have something to tell your wife? Lol. Fair enough.
You're allowed. It's okay.
Yeah.
My understanding is look but don't touch.
Exactly.
So I don't know, whatever. You look all you want.
Yeah. John, no interest. John Cotta, a GBU on Marvel UK would be amazing just for Ben and Ethan's reactions to Dragon's Claws or Death's Head. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I'd love to see all of my team's reactions to those. Lenny Laserdisc's favorite and least favorite live adaptation of a comic book suit. I mean, the Deadpool suit's pretty fantastic. I loved the Homecoming suit from Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's good. Favorite live adaptations of a comic book suit outfit. Ooh, I don't know. I must have one.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about it for a minute. And Girk Pectus, did you see the Gremlin show? It's a lot of fun. No, I haven't watched it. And so yeah. Anything?
No, I got nothing. It'll come to me later.
I also love the Iron Man suit. Like before it becomes goop, I love it. Yeah, before it's nanotech, where it's like, oh, everything's nanotech. Cool. That saves you some time, I guess.
Everything, yeah.
Daredevil 13, Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto. Daredevil walks into the realm of the beast with his father in tow. He gets a cool god-inspired white suit and fights the sister of the beast and the beast himself to save the souls of Boggy Nelson and crew. I thought that meant that they get to go to heaven, but no, they literally get to walk out of a cave and save themselves and live forever, and live on Earth. Yay. Wrapping up the series, it's not over yet, but it's getting there.
Boxing ring?
No. That would be really cool, but it's not. He does pull literal swords out of his head, though. It's fine. I loved this series. I recognize how much I liked about this issue in particular. The art's fantastic. The pacing is really good. I really enjoy Matt's internal monologue. I think the writing is fine. It's just unfortunately forgettable. And that's saying something when Daredevil is literally fighting demons in like the Nether Realm. But I think that that's enough of Daredevil fighting demons. Like, I've had enough of that. I'm just kind of tired at this point. You want to talk about Phantom Road? Did you read Phantom Road?
If I want to bring up something, I'll bring up something.
All right, fine. Night Terrors, getting into Night Terrors, I believe, right?
Yes, that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. Let's start with First Blood.
That makes sense. That's the first one.
Exactly. Joshua Williamson, Howard Porter. This is the beginning of a 2-month-long DC Comics. I think that they're calling it a mini event because it's only 2 months. But if you look at the checklist, it's anything but. But yeah, introducing us to the concept, the premise, steeped in continuity because it's written by Williamson, so he knows what's been going on.
Yep.
Literally, they reference the books that he's either reading or writing. Like Superman refers to what's going on in his book. He references what Batman's doing. Wonder Woman doesn't have a book, so don't have to worry about it. She does, but whatever. Who cares? It's ending, so we can reboot it. And yeah, and if you've caught our show, you should All Stars with Joshua Williamson himself and myself talking about this book and more. We talk about writing and comic books and favorite things and collecting. If you haven't already watched that show, you should. But I think we've teased it so much, and I was like, so I read it and there were no surprises because I've heard about this book for the last 3 months. So yeah, this book introduces you to the concept. What do you think?
Okay. Well, all right. What can I get? What your general vibe was?
I dug it. I
Okay.
think it's cool. It's certainly, regardless of the checklist issue, I can
Yes.
differentiate between like my issues with marketing and my interest in a comic book.
Yes.
Again, there were no twists and turns for me because I knew what was going on. So I
Right.
wasn't like, whoa, but I think if I didn't know anything about it,
Okay.
I would have been a lot more surprised by any twists and turns.
Sure.
Like about Dr. Destiny and his use and whether he was alive or not and how that happened, and this introduction of a new villain, and I feel like the new villain was introduced because they didn't want to use Dr. Destiny,
Yeah.
and because then also we have our own original villain.
Sure.
But I don't really care about Dr. Destiny, and I like to preserve him. Like I want to keep him in, I like him in the Justice League cartoon, and I like him in Vertigo and Sandman. So it's like, don't use him for this, or use him only as like a thing, like a gateway to something else. I also, unlike some of our esteemed viewers, I love the use of the crystal from.
No,
that.
I do too. It was a little wink and nutty.
Yeah.
But
very much.
Little yeah, haha, brother and sister. I'm like, okay, I got you. I'm with you, Josh. No, this there were some real highs for me and some real like mehs for me.
Yeah.
Like just the mehs. Like there was like
what were some mehs?
Some mehs for me were Insomnia himself.
Yeah, he's pretty milquetoast.
Wasn't like, I mean, I'm first meeting him, so maybe I should give him a chance to let him get his little feeties wet, and then I'll make a call. But like I was just like, oh, okay. You know what it is? Dr. Destiny is so scary because like I first met Dr. Destiny. I didn't even remember him from the cartoon, but like I definitely met him in Vertigo, and he is scary.
He's really scary.
He's a scary man.
Well, and I think that's probably the thing, right? It's like if Dr. Destiny were to attack the Justice League in his fashion, like from Sandman, this would be a very different kind of book.
Admittedly, he's scary there because there he's in Vertigo. He's in a Vertigo book. Yeah. He's like extra scary. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And this one's fast paced, of course, because it has one issue to set up this entire thing before it goes into a bunch of like little tiny issues. The goods for me, I'm not gonna lie, this had like, it was like biting into a big old piece of nostalgia, even if I didn't like read comics back when like these types of events were going on. Right? Like I no. Didn't even, or no comics existed, let's be honest. Had a lot to do in catching up, but like it has a nostalgia feel, and I couldn't help but think of some other events that I've read that just picked up for myself, like that one it's not even an event, but like the Batman Deadman book.
Yes.
It not like I'm saying it's taken from that, because it's not the same thing. Just because Batman and Deadman are in this book
doesn't mean that they're going to refer to that. Although I think he was a little behind the scenes thing. He did read Batman Deadman before doing this.
Yeah.
I did ask if the clown was going to come back.
He's like, no,
the clown will not come back.
The clown should be the villain.
Anyway,
but like it feels nostalgic without feeling trite
or dated.
Yeah, like, and like there was just like it. As I was reading it, I was trying to put into words what I was feeling, and I was like, it's almost like a chewiness. There's like this like little chewy to it. Like I'm just like, it's got a good bite.
Yeah, it's got a good mouthfeel.
There's something about it that I really just felt comfortable in.
Yes.
While also like, oh, okay, I don't know necessarily where this is going.
Yep.
I do wish that more of the event was just this, because I enjoyed it, because this is right up my alley. It's scary, it's spooky, there's like, crazy stuff happening. Again, maybe not the biggest fan of the main villain, but a lot of the concepts here, I'm like, this is neat. The idea of, not having control of your nightmares, or your nightmares being, put. I think that's cool, fun stuff for me, right? Like I love Silent Hill too. That's all about like your inner demons and your nightmares. Like cool, awesome, like comes to life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like that can be played with here. The Nightmare Stone. I don't know. It's a MacGuffin.
Yeah,
it's a MacGuffin to make this story
happen.
Is fun,
which is, by the way, in keeping with every like annual DC event that we've ever covered, the Eclipso Diamond, Darkman's Within, Armageddon 2001, Bloodlines, etc. This is, of course, from somebody who read those books back in the day, and I'm talking about Williamson on this one. Like, there is a preservation of the characters and all the tie-ins can do whatever they want, and it doesn't affect the main story, but will only deepen it, as we will establish with Batman, because that's the other one we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about Joker or Black Adam or Ravager or anything like that, because I don't know about you, I didn't read any more of them. But that's what's so wonderful, is that like I can pick and choose.
I kind of wish I'd had a chance to grab the Poison Ivy one, and I think honestly, like you had mentioned this before, that you wish more events, or you need to bring back the annual event. Right?
Yeah, which we basically did,
and that's really what this should have been.
But it also put the brakes on every other book.
I know, but like if they had made this more annuals, I think people would feel like, I don't know, more inclined.
I think so.
An annual is technically within the run of the book, but not really. It's an annual. It's a little different. It's an opportunity to jump onto a book if you want to.
No, I think approachability wise, if you had like your regular scheduled Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League or Titans books coming out, and then like every week there was a new Night Terrors that also came out, I think people would be a lot more inclined to check this out. Problem is they wouldn't, because it wouldn't feel like it mattered.
Right.
It feels skippable. And so you can't have both.
Yeah,
and putting the brakes on the entire run and doing this instead, and it's only 2 months, so it's basically 2 issues of books, not including the bi-weekly ones.
Right.
It's a strategy.
No,
and I appreciate that at least there's any strategy being incorporated by this company at all, much less that it's one, we'll decide if it is a winning strategy.
Right. I mean, I appreciate the fact that regardless of how it seems to be marketed, it is an opportunity for people to try out new creative teams and to just jump into a single story without having to have read all the books that preceded
100%
that story.
Yep.
So like, I'm like, that's kind of neat. It's an opportunity for you to go like, all right, do I like this? Sure. All right, maybe I'll go and grab some of the other issues in this run, even if it has nothing to do with exactly the storyline. Yeah. Maybe I like this team. So that's really cool.
Yep.
But like, this first, was it Night Terrors? First Night?
Yeah, First Blood.
First Night, First Blood?
First Blood.
It's called First Blood?
Yes.
It's not First Night?
No.
Oh, okay. Has like, it was fun. It was fun, and I was surprised at how much I ended up enjoying it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the art too.
Yeah, Howard Porter does a nice job with this.
I liked it a lot because it made it feel more nostalgic. And gritty, and this is supposed to be a scary book, and so like maybe some things are supposed to be a little more exaggerated or ridiculous because you're also in a dreamscape, or like at times in a dreamscape.
Exactly.
So it's like, for me, it fit. It really worked well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it though overall. Getting into Night Terrors Batman #1 from Joshua Williamson and Guillaume March.
Which, by the way, I appreciate the fact that the end of the other
book
was like
the beginning of this book.
Now read this book. I was like, oh, all right. I guess that's the one I should read then.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did. And it's funny because like I think I remember I read them one after the other, and I was surprised by how much crossover there was between this and the first issue, but then it was like, oh, but the same writer was for both these books. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, this is Batman's story, and there's only 2 issues. So this is the first one, 50% over.
Yeah, and I enjoyed some of this.
Yes.
I didn't enjoy all of this issue. Like, I liked a lot of the visuals early on.
Yeah.
But like the second half of it kind of unraveled for me a little bit. It feels like it got away from itself a tiny bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Batman versus Insomnia in his own way, where he's like, haha, I figured this out. I actually liked it when things like when the script got flipped, because the whole thing is about Batman kind of like being we think that Batman's being, or rather Insomnia thinks that Batman's being taken for a ride. And he's not. I do love the Batman Deadman aspect, where he's like, I can't wake up because Deadman's in my body. Damn it! You promised you wouldn't invade my body again.
Right.
But Batman like addressing all of the tropes that Insomnia could use.
Yes.
And being like, what are you doing? Like Scarecrow's done this like 1,000 times. Like what kind of pointing out like, what exactly do you bring to the table, Insomnia?
Yeah.
Insomnia doesn't answer that question well.
It's interesting as well because he specifically mentions the theater, and I was like, that's really funny.
Like, oh my god, again.
He's like, I just did this.
Like I literally just did this
like twice.
Yeah, twice. We did 3 Jokers and Joker War, and we've done with the
I've
theater.
been here recently. I'm good.
Yeah, but him bringing up Selena was really cool. I really like that moment too, because it's like that's what you're really upset about. And then he And then he coughs up the bat, which we've seen in like art that they released for this book.
And I had no problem with that vision, the visual of it coming out of him. I was like, that's
Cool.
amazing.
Yep.
I love that. The idea of him birthing this thing
Yes.
versus like the bat birthing Batman.
Yes.
That's great. And then it had a big gun on its face, and I was like, okay, yes, we saw Chainsaw Man.
Right. Yeah.
That was the point. I was like, okay.
But shooting him with his gun face transforms him into another Batman.
Yeah.
And that Batman will enter the cave of his mind and see what's going on.
Right.
The ending of it does feel like it just kind of stops, like we ran in a room where Bruce is in the footsteps of Joe Chill.
Yes.
And just kind of like it just kind of stops. And I'm like, oh, it's a little bit of a cliffhanger, but I don't know. Maybe it was the art. I don't know. But it felt like
that's like it's like almost a Cowboy Bebop homage. Right
that's
at the
fair.
End.
Yeah, bang.
And
yeah, but
it doesn't say "see you, Bat Boy."
They should have.
No.
And then there was the Robin backup, which I barely read and couldn't care less.
As long as it doesn't end up being that Damien's going to be the
hero.
Yeah,
of course he will.
I really hope not. I was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think it is.
I no.
Basically, they Damien gets woken up and I was like, okay. I the art was cutesy and fun. David LaFuente did the job that he was paid to do. I'm not going to say that he did a great job because I couldn't care less about the art in that story, but it existed.
Yeah.
It needed to stop. It didn't need that. Like that backup, I was like, damn it.
I agree.
But also, like, where else is it going to go? Because we needed it apparently. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed it. This one was not as strong as First Blood.
No.
But I am curious about the exploration of Bruce in Joe Chill's feet or shoes, but I also don't think that it's going to accomplish anything because of course it won't, but like, whatever.
I think this is going to be one of those that folk will discover later on.
Yes.
And they'll probably enjoy it more then.
Agreed.
Like this whole thing. I think again, there's just general fatigue, but then when the trade comes out, people might be like, hey, you know what, I might check that out.
Yeah, and I think people are going to remember it and enjoy it when they check it out in the secondary market.
Maybe.
Girk Pectus says, I laughed so hard when Batman threw up a bat with a gun for a head in Night Terrors. It was dumb, but we've all had nightmares that are dumb, so I like it. I agree. I think I liked the design, and I think seeing it in this, I was like, yeah, that's still consistent.
Okay.
I thought it was kind of neat. I didn't love it, but I also didn't think it was stupid. Like, I didn't hate it. And I think it has everything to do with the art. I think it's just the execution.
Okay.
Because it is just the marriage of the two things that make Batman who he is. I was like, yeah, it's kind of fun. Cat Lawyer Defense for Treats says, I struggled with the art in Night Terrors, maybe heavier inks or moody colors. I like Howard Porter's art, but this felt off. Also confusing numbering.
It is very stylized, but again, for me, it worked good because it's like they're really leaning into the horror elements and the nightmare elements of it. And nightmares are often depicted as like,
sleep or
just slightly off.
Ethereal, yeah. Atomica. I feel like this would have been a perfect 5th week event. It could hit, have space to exist, and it wouldn't kill the momentum of Dawn of DC. Yeah, I mean, I keep forgetting about the fact that we are in like an initiative, and yeah. So
I mean, I guess they're trying to. It's summer, some like folk have more time to read, and some folk are going to be away. So maybe they're just trying to get folk into the stores. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. And Comic Junkie with a super chat. Thank you very much for your help, Comic Junkie. We do appreciate your support. But yeah, let's talk about some comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry, I was reading something that says like I can't help but think of Gun Devil from Chainsaw Man. Now, I haven't read Chainsaw Man, but I invented Gun Devil.
Yeah, you did. In the streams you should watch on twitch.tv/ComicPop. Night Terrors #1 officially comes out this Tuesday. That is to say tomorrow or today if you're watching the show after the fact. But yeah, that's the first issue of Night Terrors. So First Blood was like the alpha issue, and then Night Terrors #1 will begin. And
great.
We'll go from there.
Awesome.
I'm gonna check that out.
Me too.
And we'll see where it goes. And then there's a host of other tie-ins. There's a Robin one, which I was like, well, that's where you put the Robin back up.
Yeah.
Green Lantern. I don't know if I'm going to read it. Shazam. The Flash is getting one as well. Danger Street #7 is coming out.
Zatanna's getting one.
Zatanna's getting one, of course. It's from, I believe, from Culver and Company.
Interesting.
Danger Street's coming out, and check that out. Obviously, I need to read the entire series because I've just been skipping it, but I know it's great, so just definitely read that book as well. Wow, yeah. There's more Dark Ride. I enjoyed the first 6 issues. I think you will as well if you like horror, especially. Fallen Friend, The Death of Miss Marvel #1 comes out. Obviously, I won't be picking that up because it's exploitative and cash grab entirely. But don't forget Wednesday, Turtles and Stranger Things #1 is coming out. I'm going to pick that up. I was given a free copy, but I will obviously pick up a hardcover copy because I like it enough. And I think that is probably it. Obviously, Amazing Spider-Man's coming out. Not picking that up. So, you know.
All right, so I'm going to be grabbing Immortal X-Men #13 because, yeah, me. I probably also check out X-Force. This one I'm like going back and forth on, picking up and not picking up, but I'm gonna go for it again. Keep checking that out. Rogue and Gambit #5. I think
Final issue.
This is it. Yeah, I think this is it. I hate this not tab things.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get the tabs, please?
Yep.
Thank you. I'm also, thank you very much. I wanted to see. Yeah, that's it. That's the Stephanie Phillips series, which we'll hopefully find out what's going on with Manifold. I have a feeling it's probably not going to go well for him. Additionally, I'm going to be picking up, or I'm not picking up because I already read it, but you can grab The Hunger and the Dusk #1. That's the IDW fantasy story I talked about earlier in this episode. Gargoyles Dark Ages #1. We're doing another series. Greg Weisman getting in there this time. I think this one's set in the past.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like that's kind of cool. Yes, thank you very much. I will 100% be buying that and reading it. It's different dynamic for that group for certain. So that's exciting for me. And I feel like there was something else I saw down here when you were scrolling past, and I just can't see it now. And that's okay.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine.
The other thing that's coming out is a trade paperback of the series from Jordan Blum and Patton Oswalt called Minor Threats, which if you haven't already checked out our chat with both Patton Oswalt and Jordan Blum, we talk a little bit about their series Minor Threats. Feels like a kind of it's not too dissimilar from like if the Flash's Rogues had their own universe and it was about them, and it's just a really fun kind of like story about these characters and really fun kinetic art. You're really gonna enjoy it if you like that kind of thing. Very easy to get into, and very like irreverent style humor. So, which of course, how could you would you expect any less? So check out Minor Threats as well. I believe the trade comes out on Wednesday, but keep your eyes out for that.
That's awesome. I'm also gonna check out, I think, Antarctica #1 because we all know my fascination with snowy horror.
Yes.
And that's what this looks like. Although it looks like it might be more conspiracy stuff, but
worth looking
I'll at least look at it.
Yeah.
I'll peek at it.
Give it a peek.
Take a peek.
Why not? And let's see. I believe that's it. So we want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us.
Talk about Secret Invasion.
Oh yeah, Secret Invasion. Oh my god, I forgot about Secret Invasion. That seems to be pretty indicative of Secret Invasion. Is that I completely forgot about it. It's in the title, so I guess we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's in the title. People are here for that.
Yeah,
except
all right.
the like few people who just slipped out.
Yeah.
They were not here for Secret Invasion.
No, they weren't. Well, they're
the Skrulls, or maybe they're not.
Whatever they are, they're flat leavers. They bailed. But yeah, so okay. Secret Invasion. All right. New show from Disney Plus. We're about halfway through.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, obviously we don't have the full picture, the full scope of Secret Invasion. We don't know where it's all going to go, but we can at least talk about how the first 3 episodes fared.
Yes.
I think because it's a Disney Plus show, and because it was part of the first rollout, like we had heard the explanation for like what shows were coming, and we knew about Secret Invasions. I had some expectations, and those expectations were that we weren't going to get any superheroes, and that it wasn't going to really connect to the Marvel universe. And we were really rewarded for those expectations because it's mostly about this. Like it's this story, and it has ties to the larger MCU, but it is very focused on a 2-block radius, seemingly at times. London and Chernobyl. But yeah, overall, I think that the acting is very strong in this show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that nearly everyone is doing a phenomenal job, or those newcomers to the scene are doing as phenomenal a job as they're capable of giving. Otherwise, it is a highly forgettable series that doesn't really add anything, despite it being an opportunity to contribute greatly to the larger cosmos and grounded MCU as a whole.
Okay. The more I thought about it, the more I feel like it does actually add some good background world building. Like we're talking about Nick Fury being
yes,
like, you know,
like how he became Nick Fury.
Well, and just like him, like he's always doing something. Like Nick Fury's always got something going on.
That's true.
And it's like we really don't see that. He made the Avengers, and
I don't really think we're seeing that either in this show. No, we see him reacting to a lot of things.
Right, but like, you know, he just blipped, he came back, you know. But like this is the type of stuff that I expect Nick Fury to be doing.
Yeah. Right.
Like, this version of Nick Fury seems to be like, I definitely know everything that's going on, but I also don't.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I'm dealing with, you know, shape-changing aliens.
You know,
I appreciate it for showing Nick out of his element a little bit.
Yeah.
But also just giving him something to do.
Right.
That isn't just being a well, I'm adding you to the Avengers.
Yeah, he's not just a post-credit scene anymore.
So I like it quite a bit for that.
Mm-hmm.
I have really fallen into just enjoying the overall like sort of aesthetic of this show. I still wish they pushed some of those shadows a little more.
Yeah, it's Disney Plus, man.
But it could also be our TV.
Right.
Too. I realize that
we do need a new TV.
Like, I should try to watch it on something else to see how I react to that. But you know, it's trying to be moody. You know, it's
pushing the envelope certainly of what you could expect from a Disney Plus show. And I think overall, you know, like when you compare it to the roster of Disney Plus shows, they all feel WandaVision does not feel like Winter Soldier, doesn't feel like Loki, doesn't feel like What If, and it doesn't, you know, and it was only until we got to Moon Knight, which I fully admit is its own show and does have its own tone and feel and vibe. So I do appreciate that for that. This is not that. It's not just like, it's not like what I feel I get from a lot of streaming original shows where I'm like, oh, another one like this. Cool. No, this is it has its own identity, certainly.
Sure. And which is funny. But you know, it's funny. We see a lot of like, obviously even the picture we pulled up, like Nick Fury. And I'm glad that he's in it. And I'm glad that, you know, like I said, like it seems to be establishing that like, look, he does do things that aren't just Avengers related. But it's not really a show about him necessarily.
No.
Like he's a big part of it. But you know, it really is about like the Skrulls, their own infrastructure, their own, you know, culture and you know, trying to locate a home and all of that. And I'm like, there is something kind of cool there. And I think it's actually better suited to this format than a movie.
Yeah. I disagree. I think this should have been a movie.
Okay, but I you know, that's just different opinions.
I know, that's why I said it.
I mean, you're wrong, but you know. No, I just like the fact that we get an opportunity to make it a little more complicated, and have people, you know, change sides, change opinions, as like would be in a spy type thriller, but about an entire people, instead of like trying to villainize or not. You know, I like it as a show. Especially because I feel like you wouldn't be able to get a sequel out of a Secret Invasion movie.
I don't want a Secret Invasion sequel either. But I you know, my issue is, my only reason why I wanted it to be a movie is because I want the episodes / overall show to be shorter. I think that the pacing is at times bad, or at the very least sluggish. And I feel like, you know, there are scenes that the writers and showrunner are patting themselves on the back for like accomplishing, where they're like, we really achieved a very adult feeling spy thriller. And it is not. Like it is the window dressing of a spy thriller, where like characters will go to a room and it'll be dark and there'll be some seedy things happening, and they will say things that we've already established and already know and the characters are already aware of. And so I'm like, that's cool that you did that, but like we did it already like 3 times now. Like,
I guess
no new information is being conveyed more than once in any episode. So like we get new information and then it is reiterated until the show is over. And then a new episode, we get new information. That information is reiterated by different characters until the episode's over. And I'm like, could we try?
I don't really, I didn't notice that.
Mhm.
I don't think that's, I don't know if that's there necessarily. Like, sometimes you do have to, you have like one, especially with the spy thing where it's like, here's the one version of the information. And the next person's like, but the real information is actually this.
I agree with that. I just don't think that that's happening.
Okay.
But, it doesn't say that I'm bored. Like I am critical of the show.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
That's fine.
But I also don't think that it is worthless. I don't think it's like there are some there's some projects from Marvel where I'm like, why did you bother with this? And this is not one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. We also get to firmly establish Sonya Fallsworth in the MCU, which I do appreciate. She's wonderful.
Yeah. Olivia Colman's great.
Yep.
For me, Ben Mendelsohn is like the standout. Like I love.
Well, it's his show.
It is his show, but I honestly really enjoy how he and Sam Jackson play off of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like a very lived-in relationship between the two of them.
I agree,
and that's just two strong actors being able to create that air about them.
Absolutely,
that's really great.
Yeah. But like even the cameos we've gotten, which of course, like this show should lend itself to like 1,000 cameos. On one hand, I think in one reality, I would appreciate the restraint the show has for not indulging too much. On the other, I feel like they front loaded it. Like we got Martin Freeman and Kobe Smulders in both, like in one episode, and then unceremoniously off them. And it's like, okay. And then, but if they don't come back in either Skrull or real form in the rest of the show, I think that's a failure. I think that's I think it's a waste. I don't think it's a failure. I think it's a waste of those actors and those characters, and doesn't really indulge in like, what were they doing? You know what I mean? Like, was one a Skrull? One was a Skrull definitively, but how long were they a Skrull? What were they doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for that kind of shoe to drop. Rhodey as well. Was he a Skrull? There's conjecture out there that because he referred to Fury as Nick, that the Rhodey we had in that wonderful scene between the two of them was a Skrull, which would be fine with me. Again, how long has he been a Skrull?
Right. Well, this is like affording a great opportunity for them to potentially make up for some mistakes.
Yes.
Where they, off some people maybe they shouldn't have offed in past movies or shows.
Oh, and I don't, and we only have we have a full half show left. So I'm like hoping that we get that. But also
they may not. Well, no, I think that they could set it up where they're like, we don't have to
establish that now.
We're just gonna do it. They might just be opening the door, be like, we can open the door see what happens.
That's true. I'd be okay with that. But I also want that to I fear we're gonna get a Moon Knight ending where like Super Skrull is gonna have to fight somebody like real War Machine or something, and it's, you know what I mean? It's going to be a big, silly CG fight. That being said, War Machine will look great because it'll be metal, and I'm okay with that because he doesn't get a nano suit. Thank God. But yeah, I overall, I'm enjoying it while it's happening. Like when it's going on, I'm like, I'm in. It's like there's standout moments in the show where I'm like, yeah. But then when it's over, I'm like, like I don't want, you know what I mean? Like there's some shows where it's like, we got to see the next episode. This is not one of those shows where I'm like, oh crap, when's the next episode coming?
I mean, I'm not like
clamoring.
I'm not like checking the calendar to see when the next one's coming out, but I am looking forward to it 100%. Like I'm like, yeah, no, I definitely want to watch.
I'm glad when there's a new one, but I'm never waiting for it.
Okay.
But I hear you. I hear you. We just saw like about 20 minutes of Terminator Genesis, which I never saw and promised I wouldn't. Which is like yet another vehicle that Emilia Clarke tries to get into, and I feel bad because like she seems like such a delightful young lady, and I want her to succeed, but I don't know if she is great. Like I don't know if she's a very good actor.
You can't judge her from that.
You
can't judge anyone.
I've seen her in a lot of things now.
Oh.
And
I feel like
it's the same overall.
Well, I've only seen I saw her in
this and that, and some of Game of Thrones as well, and
I have no problem with her.
I think that's the thing. I want to like her, or to, she did a little voice in Terminator where she tries to sound a little bit like Linda Hamilton, which I'm like, hey, good for you. I wish she was in more of it.
Okay.
So we could see that. And I think because the things that we're getting of her are like tropish.
Right.
You know, she's the daughter of the main character. She's the person. She's the thing that he is fighting for. You know, she's not. She
It
wants
is.
agency, but she's not really getting it. You know, and like and that was all my own personal expectations. Like I thought she was gonna be the Skrull Queen. So I'm like, yes.
Doesn't mean she couldn't be.
I think she might be. I think
Yeah.
she still might be, despite what happened in the last episode. But I wonder if it'll be a realistic turn. Like I hope that the whole thing is a subterfuge, but I wonder. I think it'll be more like, having gone through what happened in the first 3 episodes, I am now this.
We'll see.
But yeah, she's also in Solo. I liked her in that.
Don't forget, she could also be it could be a different iteration of that character.
That's true.
Because they tend to just do that. They just be like, this is your name. Don't worry about what history is in the comics. We're gonna make it a different history for you.
Oh, it's not her name in this. It's a whole made up name. But
well, no, I know, but she could change her name.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. But yeah, she was great in Solo. I like. I'm coming around on Solo.
Are you?
I am.
I haven't thought about that movie since we saw it.
I would like. There's a great deep fake on YouTube of making him into Harrison Ford, and I'm thinking, and it looks great.
Okay.
And I'm like, release the deep fake cut of Solo.
They're not gonna. I think
They're
that
not gonna
goes
do-
against a lot of unions or guilds or whatever.
I'm telling the internet to do it. Release that cut, and I'll
Right.
watch it online. But yeah, I'm not in love with this, but
Okay,
I'm also
that's fair.
thankful it's not 12 episodes. It makes me really worried about Daredevil, because Daredevil's gonna be like 25 episodes, some nonsense, and I'm like, will it? Can you guys do that?
Maybe they're short.
They better be.
Maybe they're like 10
This whole
minute
show is like an
episodes.
hour an episode, which is cool. I appreciate the time, but like use it for something.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and Ben Mendelsohn, of course, is wonderful.
Oh yeah, I said that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
just-
like,
he's
but
awesome.
he's the standout. He's
He really is. He really is.
Yeah.
I'm really glad he has as much screen time as he does.
Yeah. Oh, I'd be very okay. You know, if you clean things up with it, being like, oh yeah, no, Bruce Banner's son is fake. He's a Skrull. That way, it's not stupid.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be great, because he's terrible. Because no one liked that idea. Nobody liked that idea.
Mhm.
Not a single human being on this planet who was watching the finale of She-Hulk saw that character and thought, sweet,
Tell me more.
I can't wait for the story potential here.
Yeah.
No one. So you can just go ahead and fix that. Hell, just have She-Hulk look at the screen and go, we're not doing that. But anyway, yeah, Secret Invasion, check it out.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, you're always checking it out. There's no way you're not. And if you're not, then you were never going to in the first place. But yeah, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next time with an all new episode of Off the Rack. When we leave for San Diego Comic-Con, there won't be no episode of Off. No, we'll actually be able to do Off the Rack before San Diego.
Yeah.
We won't miss a single episode of Off the Rack.
That's right.
That's pretty exciting.
Just keep us working.
I'm sorry, but keep us. Yeah, you guys keep us working though. Keep those things rolling in. We do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time with an all new episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Check out Tiffany on youtube.com/@ComicPop Plays. I've tried /ComicPop Plays. Doesn't work. You have to do /@ComicPop Plays.
Oh, really?
Super dumb.
Oh.
I don't know why. So that channel's been giving me nothing but trouble. But the videos are great. You should definitely check them out. It's only on my
It's
end.
my thing.
Exactly. But also watch her live on twitch.tv/ComicPop.
Yeah,
Hopefully we
we'll
will
be back, I think.
and we should transition over to YouTube. See how that works.
Wait, am I on Backage's filming this week?
Who the hell knows anymore?
The guys have been really playing with the schedules,
Not me.
requiring a lot of me to.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
That's we'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. So long.
Bye.